What if the greatest king of an ancient empire, whose name struck fear into the hearts of his enemies, suddenly vanished from his throne? What if whispers began to spread of a wild beast seen roaming the wilderness, a creature with the eyes of a man, but the mind of a monster? This is the unsettling tale of Nebuchadnezzar, the mighty ruler of Babylon, whose insatiable pride led to a terrifying and mysterious transformation. What force could have turned a powerful king into a creature of the wild, lurking in the shadows of his once great kingdom? Unravel the enigma of how the king became a beast and discover the dark secrets that lie behind his fall from grace. Nebuchadnezzar II, the greatest king of the Neo-Babylonian Empire, ruled from 605 to 562 BCE. Under his reign, Babylon flourished, reaching the zenith of its power and glory. Nebuchadnezzar was not just a king. He was an architect of empire, a visionary who transformed Babylon into one of the most magnificent cities the world had ever seen. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, were attributed to his reign. His military conquests expanded the empire's borders, subjugating surrounding nations and bringing untold wealth into his coffers. He fortified Babylon with massive walls, ensuring that the city would stand as a symbol of strength and security for generations. However, as Nebuchadnezzar's power grew, so too did his pride. He began to see himself as the architect of Babylon's greatness, attributing its splendor not to divine providence, but to his own unparalleled genius. The king, once perhaps a man of some humility, became consumed by his achievements. He regarded himself not merely as a ruler, but as a god in human form, the supreme sovereign of all he surveyed. This self-deification was a dangerous path, one that distanced him from the divine authority that had allowed him to ascend to such heights. Perched on the peaks of his palace, Nebuchadnezzar looked over his realm with a haughty demeanor. He exclaimed, "Is not this enormous Babylon, which I have erected by my mighty power as a royal residence and for the glory of my majesty?" As Babylon's magnificent towers and verdant gardens unfolded before him, this revealed the conceit of Nebuchadnezzar. He had persuaded himself that he was above all others, even the gods, and that he controlled his own course in life. The spiral into madness that befell Nebuchadnezzar was not unexpected. The divine, in its infinite wisdom, sought to humble the king before his pride could lead to his complete destruction. This warning came in the form of a dream, a vivid, terrifying vision that shook Nebuchadnezzar to his core. In the dream, the king saw a colossal tree, its height reaching the heavens, visible to the ends of the earth. The tree was lush and abundant, providing shelter and sustenance to all creatures. But then, a holy watcher descended from heaven and decreed that the tree be cut down, its branches lopped off, its leaves stripped, and its fruit scattered. Only the stump was to be left, bound with iron and bronze, and wet with the dew of heaven. This vision severely worried Nebuchadnezzar, who saw its foreboding character but was unable to decipher its meaning. He called in all of Babylon's smart men, including enchanters, magicians, and astrologers, in a desperate attempt to decipher the dream, but none were able to. At last, the king called on Daniel, a prophet and dream interpreter. Daniel, known for his wisdom and divine insight, revealed the chilling truth. The tree represented Nebuchadnezzar himself. The decree to cut down the tree signified the king's impending downfall. Because of his unbridled arrogance, Nebuchadnezzar would be driven away from society, forced to live among the beasts of the field, his mind reduced to that of an animal. This punishment would last until Nebuchadnezzar acknowledged the sovereignty of the Most High, recognizing that true power and dominion belong to the divine, not to man. The dream was a clear and direct warning, a final opportunity for Nebuchadnezzar to humble himself and avert the impending disaster. Yet, despite the gravity of the message, the king's pride remained unshaken. He dismissed the warning, continuing in his delusion of invincibility, unaware that the wheels of divine retribution had already been set in motion. The moment of reckoning arrived when Nebuchadnezzar, still basking in the glory of his accomplishments, uttered the fateful words, exalting his own greatness. It was then that the divine decree, foretold in his dream, was executed. In an instant, the king's mind was stripped of reason, his royal consciousness shattered like a fragile vase. Nebuchadnezzar was no longer the sovereign of Babylon, but a creature of base instincts, driven by primal urges and devoid of human intellect. The once mighty ruler, who had commanded armies and built empires, was reduced to a beast of the field. This transformation was not merely psychological, but also manifested physically. Nebuchadnezzar's body, once adorned in regal garments, now grew coarse and wild. His hair grew long and tangled, resembling the feathers of an eagle, while his nails thickened and curled like the claws of a bird. His diet, once a feast fit for a king, now consisted of grass as he roamed the fields like cattle, driven by an insatiable hunger. The king, who had once dined in the splendor of his palace, now found himself on all fours, eating the vegetation of the earth, his mind lost in a haze of madness. For 7 long years, Nebuchadnezzar lived in this state of degradation, a king in form, but a beast in nature. During this time, he was completely cut off from human society, living in isolation, his only companions the wild animals that roamed the fields. His kingdom, once the envy of the ancient world, was left without a leader, its people in disarray, its future uncertain. The mighty walls of Babylon, the symbol of Nebuchadnezzar's strength, now stood as a silent reminder of the king's fall from grace. Even still, the heavenly decree served a purpose despite its complete debasement. Nebuchadnezzar's metamorphosis served as a potent warning about the frailty of human arrogance and the perils of elevating oneself above nature. Nebuchadnezzar would learn this lesson in humility only after he had been totally destroyed and had allowed the divine to control his will. The turning point in Nebuchadnezzar's ordeal came when, after years of living as a beast, he finally lifted his eyes to the heavens and acknowledged the sovereignty of the divine. This moment of epiphany was not merely a return to sanity, but a profound spiritual awakening. Nebuchadnezzar, once consumed by his own greatness, now recognized the limits of human power and the ultimate authority of the divine. His transformation back to a rational being was instantaneous, as his mind was restored, and with it, his kingdom. Upon taking the throne once more, Nebuchadnezzar brought about a notable transformation. The conceited king, who thought he was superior to everyone else, was no more. A king who had experienced heavenly humility and understood the significance of recognizing a force greater than himself took his post. Once characterized by conquering and egotism, Nebuchadnezzar's rule evolved into an example of modesty and devotion. The lessons learned during his time as a beast were not lost on Nebuchadnezzar. He decreed that all his subjects should honor and revere the Most High, recognizing the sovereignty of the divine over all earthly powers. His transformation served as a powerful testimony to the people of Babylon and beyond, a reminder that even the greatest of men are subject to the will of the divine. Nebuchadnezzar's story did not end in disgrace, but in redemption. His journey from king to beast and back again was a profound illustration of the dangers of hubris and the necessity of humility. The once proud king, who had lost everything, was restored, not just to his throne, but to a deeper understanding of his place in the cosmos. His story became a cautionary tale, passed down through generations, a reminder of the perils of arrogance and the redemptive power of humility. Nebuchadnezzar's journey from the heights of power to the depths of madness and back again is a story that resonates through the ages. It is a tale of pride and downfall, of divine retribution and redemption. The king's descent into bestial madness was not merely a punishment, but a necessary transformation, one that stripped him of his arrogance and led him to a profound understanding of the divine order. The tale of Nebuchadnezzar is more than just a historical narrative. It is a timeless cautionary tale about the perils of arrogance and the transforming power of humility. His metamorphosis from king to beast and back again serves as an example of the dangers of elevating oneself above the divine and the necessity of accepting one's own limitations. Nebuchadnezzar's tale serves as a potent reminder that true grandeur stems from humility and reverence for the Almighty, rather than from self-aggrandizement in a society where ambition and power can lead to hubris. His legacy lives on as a warning to those who aspire to power, showing that even the strongest can crumble if they lose sight of their role in the greater scheme of things.